Wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming online and taking part in our family meeting. So we just wanted to say a quick few words about the story of the charity to get us all started. So when we started, I mean, Daphne is our third child. And when we had her, we were very uncertain because she was very different right from the get-go. And when we learned that she had all these difficulties, and then that she had this genetic condition, and that there was very little known, there was a period of time when we were very lost, I would say. And really, there's a lot of fears that come in, and a lot of grief, and a lot of, where do we go from here? So this charity was started. Really, I would admit myself that in the beginning it was started as a bit of a desperate attempt to try and find a solution, find a way forward, find some hope, find something to hang on to. And sometimes we would go from, oh, she's all right as she is, to, well, maybe we can get some medical answers, and maybe we might be lucky and we might get it quick. And I mean, all these thoughts that a special needs parent goes through in the beginning, we had all of that. As time went on with the setting up of the charity, and as we grew, we I think we grew with everybody in the charity. I felt like we 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 learned about the people who are the families who are in our group and having very similar stories. And we also saw the hard work of the research community. We saw their professionalism, and I think most importantly, also calmed down around Daphne. We started to understand that behind all of these difficulties was a whole person, just different, and needed more time to get to know. And so this project became a lot bigger than what we started off aiming for it to be. So we now feel like we're building something that's bigger than ourselves. We're bringing together a research community that is bigger than what we individually could do, speaking to one person, one institute at a time. And we're so happy to see families sharing and coming together. And it's making us feel a lot less alone, and also giving us the impetus for building this even bigger than what we originally intended. And we understand that good science takes time. Good science is done with layers and layers of evidence from different sources, it requires expertise to all come together. And it's not a quick shot. So we just want to thank you, I think, for being a part of this family, being a part of this journey. We just my husband Peter is going to take us through some of these slides.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, hello. My name is Peter. I am Daphne's father, and you've probably seen my face plastered over the website. Some very flattering photos, no doubt. Just this slide here really sums up, I think, where how we've grown since this organization started. As Gina said, when we first got going, we were just two parents and a very special daughter, um, uh, with two other very special children who wanted to help as well. And now we're building into an amazing community. And I think we have behind the 233 members, there are almost 180 families now. So you know, we're really becoming a focal point for this condition, and we're building a very powerful voice. And next slide, please, Rebecca. So I think, later on in this session, you're going to hear Rebecca articulate exactly what we've been doing in terms of the science, and how under Rebecca's leadership and with the fantastic input from our scientific advisors and all of the families, we've been able to push the science forward around better understanding what a deficiency of the CLCN4 gene means, and what we can do to make the lives of our children as healthy and happy as we can. Next slide. So one of the questions that we quite often get asked in email communications with families is, how can we support the charity? We'd like to get involved, and there are a number of ways you can do that. Firstly, by contacting Rebecca if you think you've got any specific skills, or if you don't have any particular specialty, just that you have some time and some passion and you'd like to get involved. We'd love to have as many families as we can getting involved with the charity. I think on a more practical level, it's worth reminding everyone that the research that we're funding, whilst it costs money, it's the organization is set up in a really lean way. So all of the money that we raise effectively gets spent on moving the scientific field forward. And just to give you some examples before I do a shout out to some of these faces below on the slide, $2,000 is what the cost of setting up a translation for the family meeting today would cost. $6,000 would allow us to reprogram an iPSC line to allow us to do critical research and move forward towards hopefully therapeutics that can help our children. So the amounts of money involved here, whilst cumulatively they are large, small chunks can be done. And you see on this slide some amazing families and friends who have got involved in the last 12 to 18 months to help us. From top left in a clockwise direction, we have Tate and family in the US, Jackie, Luca and Max, Caroline in France with, I think, her brother, and Mark, Jose, Rob, and Michael, who did a walk in London. Thanks to all of you. But this perhaps gives you all an idea as to what individual families can do in terms of fundraisers. Anything you can think of, please come back to us, and we would help in whatever ways we can, providing T-shirts and other support around fundraising pages. So please get in touch with Rebecca, and we'll be sharing her details later in the meeting. Next slide. So the other thing that obviously people can do is to set up and establish a small monthly donation. and this can be done via the website, either via PayPal or the Just Giving website. And you can go onto the Cure CLCN4 website, which will drop into the chat page during this meeting, if this is something that you feel you can support or you know someone that might like to. Next slide, please. And I think just sort of bringing it back and reminding us why we're doing this. Behind every one of those 180 families, there's at least one very special child, and these are just a sort of small cross section of the photos that, at least from a trustee perspective of the charity, keep us going and keep us motivated. And we really thank all of you for sharing this with us and letting us share these on the meeting today. And I think at this point, I'm going to hand over to Rebecca. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, Peter. So now we're going to continue with this talk, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Cure CLCN4 and what we do. But first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Rebecca, and I'm the head of research and charity manager at Cure CLCN4. Really what I want to do with the next set of slides is make sure that you understand exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, and also where we're trying to get to. So what is Cure CLCN4? First of all, we are a research charity. We're a not-profit. We are based in the UK, but our reach is international. And as you'll be able to see from the families that we have here today, we're in contact with families from over 15, 16 countries. And then in terms of our focus, we focus on CLCN4 related condition. And within the next few slides, I'll tell you a little bit about how exactly we do that. But first of all, I just wanted to bring it back to the beginning. So our reason for being here and our reason for doing what we do. So I'm sure when you heard Peter's and Gina's stories, there were a lot of things that you as families have also gone through. And I've tried to highlight some of those with these quotes that you have all provided. And there's some common themes that keep coming up, whenever a new family reaches out. Some of those are the feeling of isolation. And I know that many of you, when they first received a diagnosis, you were told that you were the only case in the area or the only case in the country even. Also, I think sometimes the conversations with doctors have been very similar in the sense that often they can only tell you a little bit about the condition. There's not a vast amount of information, and there's also no condition-specific treatments. So thinking about that, Cure CLCN4 is here to try and address those common themes. So the feeling of isolation, the need for a community, the amount of questions that still have no answers, and majorly also the lack of CLCN4 specific care and therapies. So how do we do it? We do this mostly through research. Our goal is to move the science forward because by doing that, we're able to start understanding the biology of the condition. And the hope is that the more we understand, the closer we get to being able to develop therapies that are specific for CLCN4. So science is a big part of what we do, but of course, you families are also a huge part of our mission. So we're also here to support families in any way we can, and we'll go through some of the things that we can do and some of the resources that we have available. And then finally, fundraising and awareness. This is also an important part of what we do. Like Peter mentioned, research is expensive, so there's a lot of work going into trying to raise funds. And then we also try and put CLCN4 on the map by raising awareness. So in terms of research, there's three kind of main things that we've been focusing on so far. The first one is the generation of tools. So like with any job, scientists and clinicians also need tools to be able to do their work, to be able to do research. I'm going to give you some examples in the next slide of some of the tools I've been generating so far, but this has been really a focus of the last few years because without those tools, it's very hard to move the science forward. The second bit is to identify suitable research projects and funding opportunities. So we have spent a lot of time trying to connect with scientists that are already working on CLCN4 or that might have an interest in CLCN4 and trying to push those research projects forward. And this brings me to the last point, which is connecting as experts. So in order to move the science forward, we need people that are involved. So we've put a lot of work into creating a scientific community, including scientists and clinicians, because without them, it is impossible to move things forward. So here are some examples of the three things that I've mentioned. So first of all, the research tools. So over the last few years, we fundraised for the generation of CLCN4 rat models. So I know that some of the families on this call really did some wonderful work raising funds for this project. And we have generated these rat models, and they're being currently studied by Jan, who's a scientist you can see here. So that's been a big milestone in terms of research because it's a really important tool to really start to understand the biology of the condition. Some other tools that we've been working on developing are iPSC. So these are special types of cells that can be obtained from individuals with CLCN4 condition. And again, they're a really important tool to help us understand the biology. And here we've got the added advantage that they're coming from the patient. So they're a really, really powerful tool to begin to understand the science. And then thirdly, the patient registry. We've got a talk later on by Missia from Simon Searchlight, and she's going to be explaining what the patient registry is and how you can register, and also some of the progress that we've made with the registry over the last few years. But just as a brief description, the registry is essentially a collection of information from individuals that have a specific condition, in this case, CLCN4. And this is a great tool to help us understand the clinical side of the condition and also how those symptoms might change over time. And like I said, you'll have a lot more detail from Missia later on. In terms of funding research, I think the greatest milestone so far has been the Cure CLCN4 pilot grant program, which we launched last year. And as part of this grant, we are actively funding 3 research projects. You're going to hear from Michael later on, so he's one of the awardees of the grant. Some of these projects are still ongoing. They're coming to an end now, but there's been over a year of active research on CLCN4 focus projects. And then finally, the community side. So in the same way that we've been trying to grow the family community, we've also put a lot of effort into growing the scientific community. So every single year, we organize an in-person scientific conference. We had the last one in June. And this is an opportunity to bring together scientists and clinicians from all over the world who have an interest in the condition. And this event has really grown. We started with 20 people in 2022, and we've grown up to 60, 70 in the last edition in 2025. In terms of family support, so as I mentioned, you are at the center of everything we do. So it's really important for us that we're also able to support you in any way we can. So the first way we do that is by providing informational resources. A lot of the families, when they first get the diagnosis, they've communicated that it's very hard to find information online, that there's research papers, but often they're not accessible to families with a non-scientific background. So we put a lot of effort into generating content that is up to date, that's expert checked, and that's accessible to everyone. We are also working very hard on trying to translate this content, which is tricky, but we're really kind of working on that right now. And hopefully most of those key resources we will be able to have in multiple languages very soon. The second aspect of this work is connecting families. So this is really trying to address that feeling of like isolation that many of you have communicated. So we are working hard to make sure that you know how to connect with other families, whether in your same country or your same area, and to make sure that you have the ability to talk to someone, to share your experiences, to ask questions. I mean, we really think this video community is absolutely essential. And then thirdly, connecting it back to the research, we make sure to keep you informed of any opportunities that are out there to participate in CLCN4 research and connect you with the right experts. So in terms of resources, I just want to highlight some of the key ones. So the first one is the Cure CLCN4 Welcome Pack. So we released this pack last year. It has a lot of information about the biology of the condition, the genetics, what the clinical care could look like, and frequently asked questions section. We also have the website, which I think most of you know about. We have a lot of information on CLCN4 related condition there. We are working on updating some of the sections right now and also providing it in multiple languages. But yeah, there's a lot of resources and information that you can find on there right now. We also try to make research accessible. So for some publications, like a publication that came out in 2023 from Emma, I think you're going to hear from her in a minute. That was a large publication with a large cohort of patients, and what we tried to do is provide a family-friendly summary of that research so that you don't need to go to the original research paper and you can look at this and understand what has been done and what the results were. In terms of community and connection, there's two main things I would like to highlight. So the family meetings, I think this is our third or fourth one, but we organize this to give you an opportunity to meet other families and also to give you an opportunity to connect with professionals and hear directly from the people that are doing the work. And then we also have the family Facebook group. So this is a private group. You can see we're up to 235 members right now, and this is essentially a safe private space where you can connect with other families, you can post questions, you can share pictures, you can share experiences. So really the idea is to make this a place for you all to connect with each other. And then just as examples of opportunities to participate in research. So this first one on the left was from last year. So we had a speech and language study that was run by Angela Morgan from Australia. And, we shared the opportunity to participate in that research, which has actually now been published, and you'll hear more about this later on. And then also we try to really highlight the patient registry, which, like I mentioned, is a really important tool. So, we communicate regularly with you to make sure that you are aware of this and that you know what the steps are to participate. But again, you will hear more from Missia about this later. Finishing off, just want to mention fundraising and awareness. So research is expensive, and beyond research, even other things that we do, like the translation today or the scientific meeting that we run annually, these are all expensive. So we put a lot of effort into trying to raise funds. We do that by applying for research and community grants, but as Peter mentioned, we encourage you all, if you can, to think about doing some fundraising or setting up a small monthly donation. And every little bit, no matter how small or how big, really, really helps. And then finally, in terms of awareness, we're on social media. We also do events that help put CLCN4 on the map. And we also collaborate with different digital magazines to make sure that CLCN4 is also on other channels. So if you're wondering how you can help, I would just say participate. So participate in any way you can, participate in events, participate in research opportunities. If you want to get involved more directly with the charity, please reach out to me. I'm going to be sending information in the next few days about the family committee. So we're trying to put together a small group of families that want to be more actively engaged with the charity. And if you have the time and the skills, please do let me know, and we can have a conversation about that. And then finally, donating, fundraising, anything that you can or are willing to do would be super helpful. So just some action items. I know there's several families here that have received a diagnosis recently. So for those of you that are not aware of these resources, I would say join the Facebook group. So this is the private Facebook group that I mentioned earlier. You can connect with other families there. Download the CLCN4 Welcome Pack. It is available in English and Spanish on the website. The Italian version is also ready. It's not yet uploaded, so if you want it, you can email me, but it'll be on the website in the next few days. Join the patient registry, and finally, if you can, consider setting up a recurring donation to support the work that we do. If you want to stay in touch, you've got our website. There's a contact form there. Like I mentioned, we're also on social media, and you can email us. My personal email is here at the top. I'm also always happy to talk to families. Weekly I do video calls with families who've got questions or they're wanting to get involved. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And finally, I just wanted to end with this message. Alone we are rare, but together we are strong. Together we can make a difference. And really here, what I want to highlight is that I think this is a group effort. We need everyone. We need the families, we need the clinicians, we need the scientists. Even if you can do a little, that's still a huge help. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here, because even just attending this event is incredibly helpful, and is really good for us to see, new people joining and new people reaching out. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone. My presentation ends here.